we intend to continue to shine a bright light on efforts by Republican-controlled states to roll back those rights won with blood, sweat, and tears by the heroes and sheroes of the civil rights movement. We've had guests every week on this program to tell you what you can do to make sure you're not kept out of the 2012 election. Today, we're joined by a Congresswoman who is beating the drum in her home state, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson of Florida. Welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Roland. It's a pleasure to be here.
Got to ask you first, how many hats do you have? Okay, first of all, folks at home, this is your signature, just like former Alderman Dorothy Tillman in Chicago. How many cowboy hats do you have?
I have too many.
No. That's a number. You know, every woman knows how many shoes she has, and you got to know how many hats you have.
I have no idea, and I'm asked that
More
question
than 100?
Oh, definitely.
More than 200?
Yes.
More than 300?
Yes.
Man, that's a lot of hats.
That's a lot.
I got a whole house just for hats down there in Florida.
I have a room just for hats.
It must be a huge room.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, I thought so. Let's talk about voter suppression. Florida has one of the strictest voter ID laws, and so what are you doing in that state to let your constituents know and others know, look, laws are in place, but we've got to be able to get around them, around those barriers?
Well, Roland, I am the vice chair of the Florida Democratic Party. And as a result of that, I have rolled out a whole plan to go around voter suppression because I know it's going to affect minorities, it's going to affect college students, poor people, and the elderly. And so we have kicked off a vote from home campaign. We're not calling it absentee ballots because people don't like that.
Right.
So it's vote from home. And we have a postcard that you can mail today to be placed on the list to get an absentee ballot when it's time for them to be released.
Now, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. With these laws, they are saying that if you come to the polls, and look, a lot of black folks symbolically loving to go in and cast that ballot. Mm-hmm. They also don't trust the U.S. mail system. But that's a whole other story. But to get around that, if you don't have a voter ID, if you cast an absentee ballot, no ID needed. No
ID needed. And we're doing it with churches. This is nonpartisan. We're not talking about any candidates. We're just talking about your constitutional right to vote. And that's all we're talking about. And so we've lined up churches all across Florida. At the convention, we had 50 pastors from Orlando, about 50 from Miami. We had them from Jacksonville. We had the president of Florida, of Bethune-Cookman University, Florida Memorial University, because we know it's going to affect these kids also. We've got to get them appropriately registered so that they can get absentee ballot so that they can vote from home. And we're asking the churches to make sure, because we used to have souls to the polls, and that would be the Sunday prior to voting. Right. In Florida, they've taken that away from the early voting.
So in Florida, same thing happened in Ohio until they actually pushed that measure back. They saw the turnout in 2008. On Sunday before the election, and so they changed the law to block early voting the Sunday before the election?
Right. We called it Souls to the Polls, and we made sure that churches came to vote, and we had a barbecue and hot dogs, and it was just a big celebration on that Sunday. However, when they realized that, no more. You can't vote. No, early voting stops before then.
And this
so
is the
we're
point
going around that.
This is the point that I keep making, and that is, I said to my Republican friends, I said, show me an example where you're trying to expand the right to vote versus suppress. To me, barring early voting the Sunday before the election is just clear as day. You want to suppress the vote.
And also identification. Picture IDs at the place of voting. We found out, we had a job fair the other day, and we had people there giving, issuing IDs. It costs $30 to get an ID in Florida and to get your license changed. Your address must match. And so we know our college students move around. We know they don't live in the town where they're going to college.
But also, if you go to a private school, Bethune-Cookman or Florida Memorial, those are not state schools. right?
Right.
So your state, those student IDs can't be used to
Exactly.
vote. It has to be a state ID. So if you go to Florida State
Exactly.
or Florida A&M, you can because they're state universities. Gotcha.
So we have found a way. That's the only portion that they have not blocked us, and that is the vote from home section.
Look, we're going to keep following this. Again, we want to keep stressing ways to get around those barriers because if folks, they defeated poll taxes, we can defeat these voter suppression efforts as well.